talking to y'all about a controversial topic that is known as the sixth mass extinction. I know a lot of you probably don't know what that is, but I'm definitely going to go into that. But the focus of this presentation is mainly going to be the sixth mass extinction's effect on the ocean itself. So to start off, what I want you to do is I want you to think about your favorite marine. Where's the?
I might have hit mute video. Look and see if it's been.
Show video.
Which one?
It says mute video.
Bottom corner.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so think about your favorite marine animal, whether it's a mammal, a fish, whatever it is. Think about it, and I want you to think about its impact on the ecosystem. I want you to think about its impact on you. I want you to think about its impact on the ocean in general. And think about what would happen if it was completely gone. So for me, that's a shark. So if you think about maybe, let's say, for example, a bull shark. Bull sharks keep the population of other fish down. They're scavengers, they clean up the ocean. They do a lot more than just predate. And if they were gone, something would happen to our ecosystem that would be drastic. So let's start off by explaining really what is the sixth mass extinction. The sixth mass extinction is obviously the sixth of the extinction events, followed by the previous five that you've probably heard of at one point, whether you're in a biology class, whether you're in a history class. One way or the other, you've probably heard of them. But this one, man is directly the cause, unlike the ones in the past. So, probably the most popular extinction event, the Cretaceous Paleogean, which happened 65 million years ago, which you all know killed off the dinosaurs when the meteor hit the Yucatan Peninsula. That particular extinction event killed 75% of all life on Earth. There was another one that killed off 75%, which happened 200 million years ago, which is the Triassic-Jurassic. This one was perhaps caused by a volcano eruption, possibly an asteroid impact, but it's more likely that it was just from the atmosphere getting just absolutely disgusting from the amount of carbon and methane that was a result of a volcano eruption, which eventually suffocated the life on Earth at that time. And the most devastating one up to date is the Permian Triassic, which killed 96% of all living species. The scary part about this is that all of these previous extinction events were a natural event. Something happened, whether it was, like I said, the volcano eruption, whether it was the meteor, whether it was pollution in the atmosphere. It was all by something that happened on Earth that was not caused by a specific species. But we've reached a point now where we can see the effect of our own kind. We jumped from 1 billion to 7 billion people in 200 years. If you think about how long the Earth's been around on a global scale, that's ridiculously fast. 200 years, 7 billion people from 1 billion people. And the reason this happened is because of agricultural techniques that we developed. We were able to start manipulating our environment, manipulating our food, which caused us to need more of it because we could produce more people, because we could produce more food. So we basically started to begin to run out of our resources. As we started to overconsume, as we started to overpopulate, we started to congregate in areas, and we started to find out that if we burn fossil fuels, we can make more food, and we can make energy, and we can make warmth. As we started to burn these fossil fuels, we're starting to increase our CO2 emissions, which is exactly what happened in a lot of the previous extinction rates, just obviously different reasons. Another thing that man has been doing that's caused the sixth mass extinction is deforestation. Just kind of put things in perspective, in 2017, Brazil agreed to sign off 860,000 acres of rainforest for agricultural uses. I don't think I need to explain how big of a piece of property that is. That's ridiculously huge. But the other issue here is that rainforests are the second highest contributor to CO2 absorption in the entire world. So as we start to take away our rainforests, the more CO2 that we put out, we're not taking back. So we're starting to backtrack a lot. And all of this kind of combines into the background extinction rate, which is why this is an extinction event. The background extinction rate is 8 times higher than it ever has been before. It also has an actual extinction rate of 32,000 populations per day. Now let me clarify and make sure you know what that means. This does not mean that 32,000 species are dying every single day. What it does mean is that there are populations of species. So if you think about an area of think about your backyard or a forest where there's a group of deer that live in that area. What this means is that the last of that group of deer die 32,000 times a day. So we're losing populations faster than they can replenish. So let's talk about more or less how it affects the ocean, since that's the point of this. Amanda did an excellent job talking about how it affects coral reefs. The acidification of the ocean is really the major, most biggest issue that CO2 is causing. What happens is a third of all CO2 that's in our atmosphere gets absorbed back into the ocean. When it does this, it causes the water temperature to increase, causes the actual chemistry of the water to change. This is starting to affect numerous species, including reef-building organisms, and especially phytoplankton and algae. Phytoplankton and algae are two extremely important species in the ocean because phytoplankton is the number one source of food for most species of marine mammals and fish. They are the very bottom of the food chain, and because of that, they support the very top of the food chain. Algae also contributes to more carbon absorption than any rainforest in the world. And as we increase the amount of acidity in our ocean, as we increase the temperature of the ocean, it's gradually causing the algae to die, as well as the phytoplankton. Secondly, overfishing due to overpopulation. So back to this whole agricultural thing where we are just mindlessly eating and over-consuming. Because there are so many people dependent upon fish as a food source, we have overfished some populations to the point of no return. There's several, actually, if not thousands, of fish that have gone to extinction just simply because we fished them out of life. Destruction of the coral reefs is another really, really big hot topic right now. The issues of destroying coral reefs is, although they are a very small percentage of the ocean, they provide a majority of the life of the ocean. You'll find the majority of species, the majority of congregations of species within those reefs. And as we destroy those reefs because of loss of calcification, because of that change in chemistry, because of increasing weather, because of higher sea levels rising, there's a whole numerous amount of factors that are just gradually destroying these reefs. These reefs not only protect marine life, they protect us too. There was a study I found that says, which I have lost, it said that I believe it was 62 million people live within 33 feet or less of a sea level. So what that means is these coral reefs, which provide protection from storms and which provide protection from rogue waves and tsunamis and all this other stuff, they are going to be gone. And when those storms come in, the people who live 33 feet, the 62 million people who live 33 feet from sea level are going to be drastically affected, and millions of people will die because of it. In fact, in Florida right now, we have the third largest reef system in the entire world. It is slowly starting to actually dissolve in the water right now. So let's talk about how it affects you. This is a good example of really just putting it into perspective. This is the Great Barrier Reef before we go into how it really affects you. As you can see here, the coral is literally looking dead. This is the Great Barrier Reef, and as of today, it is completely dead. There is nothing left of it at all, and it is an extremely, extremely sad thing to see. So how does it affect you and I? More than just being sad, and more than just seeing your favorite animal die. First off, is the primary food for 1 billion people around worldwide. I've actually found research, doing my own independent research prior to this specific presentation, that actually says it's a third of the global food for everyone. If we lose that, we lose a third of the population. If we lose food for 1 billion people, we lose 1 billion people. It also is 20% of the diet for 2.6 billion people globally, and employs 200 million people and makes $800 billion a year. So if you lose this job, if you lose this industry, that many people are going to be out of jobs, and that's how much money we're going to lose. And we also are over-consuming at a rate that, as of 2004, we took in 106 million tons of fish, and it's expected by 2030 we need 150 million tons of fish. And we are simply running out of it. We're going to be losing jobs, lives, and food. And then obviously the loss of the ecosystem and reefs. First off, it's traumatizing to lose the loss of the habitat that's substantial. That's issue number one. It's also expected by 2050 that majority of the reefs aren't even going to be around, which is in our lifetime, 2050. That's right around the corner. In comparison to the history of the world, that is right around the corner. That is a blink of an eye, and we could be losing thousands of species in that one event. And the issues of overfishing, especially, are going to cause our children to look into an ocean and see nothing but this, and that's it. No reef. The reef dissolved. No fish. They have nowhere to go. The last species that will be left will be the predatory species that we're strong enough to find and scavenge. There will be no reef fish. There will be no beauty left to the sea. So let's talk about what you can do about it. First off, seems like a little bit too much of an obvious one. It's cut down on your carbon footprint. It's more of how you can save the world, less than more than you can how you can save the ocean. Cut down your CO2 emissions, drive less, reduce, reuse, recycle, those good old 3 R's. Print less, use less water, download more. All these are just small suggestions, but they go a long way. And I know you're thinking, well, if I'm the only one recycling, why does it matter? Well, if one person recycles, that's a step closer to not losing all of these species. And to me, that's good enough. That's important enough. Because if one person does it, then maybe one person else will do it, and one person else will do it. And that's a step closer and closer and closer. More specifically, what you can do to help the ocean is just have good beach etiquette, first of all. When you go to the beach, don't leave your trash out. When you go to the beach, clean up after other people. Even if it's not your trash, and you're saying it's not my problem, still do it. It's not hurting you to take 5 seconds out of your time to pick up a piece of plastic that was on the sand that could go and harm another fish, and just throw it in the trash can. Another thing that you can do is reduce your lawn and garden chemicals, and don't dump household chemicals in storm drains. Please do not do that. It goes directly to the ocean and has a direct effect on most species that are anywhere near those drains. And lastly, I always recommend this to a lot of people. In a way, it's sort of hypocritical because I'm a server at Bonefish Grill. But this website right here, what you can do is you can actually go online and find sustainable fish. You can find out which species right this minute are sustaining themselves no matter how much we're over-consuming. So this will allow us to give those species of fish like grouper and like, for example, tuna and like, for example, snapper. All these species are really in strong decline. And you can find out which fish are not right now to give those fish more or less a break. It's really simple, just fishwatch.com. That's all it takes. And before I conclude, I just kind of wanted to leave y'all with this. I feel like the ocean is a place of spiritual power to a lot of people, not necessarily religious, but I feel like there's not many people who can go and look at the ocean and go like, that's cool, and then just walk off. It's got something that is ingrained and deep to all of us. It's important to all of us in a way, and the loss of the ocean will mean the loss of everything. Everything on Earth, every person, every species, because we are so dependent upon those building blocks, and the ocean is the biggest building block we have, and it takes up the most space of our Earth. So why would we not take our time to take care of that? And lastly, I wanted to read this quote by JFK. It seemed very fitting. We all came from the sea, and it is an interesting biological fact that all of us have in our veins the exact same percentage of salt in our blood that exists in the ocean. And therefore we have salt in our blood, in our sweat, and in our tears. We are tied to the ocean, and when we go back to the sea, whether it is to sail or to watch it, we are going back from whence we came. Thank you. Any questions?